All these mountains are made from mold. When the rain comes, it pours, it falls on the wrong side. It's a hard ride. I could look forward to a better day, but once another brother to a hurricane. Maybe it's time that the sunshine. Watch that smoke as it rises. I ain't scared of it so bad. I just need some to breathe for me. Forest growing without warning. Feel like change is calling. I can't take the heat. They burn.
Hello, hello, hello. We welcome you to our online book club called Reading River. Every week we go live right here on YouTube. It'll chat about a few chapters, no spoilers ahead of schedule, no pressure, just good books and great conversation. And whether you're a longtime reader or you're just getting started, you're welcome here. Now, the genre for this group is called Noire because we will be covering books written from Black authors. To go ahead and introduce our panel, we got Sheen, we got Debbie, we got Toya, and we got me, Nene. I did want to go ahead and introduce the book, okay? So the book that we're starting with is God is a Black Woman. According to the description, it's a timely, much-needed book that weaves personal pilgrimage and societal reckoning to dismantle the cultural white male God and uncover the sacred Black feminine, and ultimately hope, healing, and liberation. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, and who you see over there on the left is the beautiful Dr. Christina Cleveland, PhD. Dr. Christina, she's a social psychologist. She's a public theologian, author, and activist. She's the founder and director of the Center of Justice Plus Renewal, as well as a sister organization, Sacred Folk, which creates resources to stimulate people's spiritual imaginations. She's also an award winning researcher and former professor at Duke University's Divinity School. So we're starting off with chapter one. So if you have not read the book yet or had read chapter one yet, no worries at all because you can always come back. You may want to stop here and then come back, and then that way you can go ahead and put in your comments. Let us know if we're on the same page with you or if there's some things that we missed because we love to, look through and see what you guys got for us. Okay. So we are starting with chapter one, and it starts off by talking about she who is worth seeking at all costs. So first, let me say I love a good storyteller, and you guys can jump in at any time. But I love a good storyteller, and I love how she starts the story off by this Ocean's 11 operation. She talks about how just moments earlier she crossed the cobblestone square of the quaint town of, I think, Marioc, France, and she's entered this fortress like church, right? So imagine this church that still has like artifacts like a museum, right? And according to her, what's happening is that, so picture velvet ropes, and she's looking at this town renowned 6th century statue of the Black Madonna, the uncommon dark skinned version of the Virgin Mary. Now, she says she does this basically. She's desperate for a divine image that I relate to. And breathe now. Get them on page one, so I'll start over. Page 5 for me, but on the first chapter. She says she's desperate for a divine image that I relate to and breathe hope into my experience as a black person and as a woman. And I had to be near the likeness of God that looked like me. That was really relatable because I think to me, and you ladies can chime in at any time, but that's really relatable because I think this is what all this is about. It's about representation. So that kind of made, I had to highlight that. But as she's going on this Ocean's 11 James Bourne, expedition here, one, she's in France. So picture her in France, and then two, so she's in France. She sees security cameras, she sees velvet ropes, and she knows that basically she can be in big trouble because, like I said, she's in a whole nother country. Jail is no joke. But she says she knows all of this, right? So she sees all this, she's cognizant to all of this, and she says, on one hand, I knew from experience that black people and women are especially punished when we disregard rules. On the other hand, I knew that black people and women are especially punished whenever we pretty much do anything. So she like, man, it's a go, let's do it. And I'm like, I'm here for it because I'm reading it, I'm not in any trouble. But she ties this, and she bridges this with some flashbacks. So as she's about to, I guess, cross this velvet rope because she needs to get closer to this Black Madonna, she ties this to what she calls, she says, we live in a world that punishes us for having opinions, for existing, for taking up space. I heard that. As she stood at the edge of the Black Madonna's altar, I recalled the numerous beatings I had endured as a black woman, much like this one. So now I'm like, girl, who hit you? Who did this? What's going on? Dr. Chris, what we got to do? And what she talks about is she goes back to this experience where she is an academic lecturer at Cambridge University, right? So if you're picturing this, it sounds like she is giving a lecture. Now at this time, she's an expert, right? She's a social psychologist and a theologian. And she just exposed the rampant racism in a famous Cambridge scholar's work. And it sounds like as she's either finishing the lecture or she's asking if anyone had questions, someone had a question, and it looks like one of the scholar's fanboys was up in arms, and you can picture this, I'm assuming, young white male, and he says to her, I can't tell if you're sloppy or mischievous. Okay, so this this may not age well. This may not age well. Okay. Let me know if I'm tripping because when I read this, the first thing I had to go back and read was she had just exposed the rampant racism in a famous Cambridge scholar's work at this university. So my first thought is, okay, sis, you're not at Tuskegee. You're not at Tuskegee.
Right.
You you're not at Mississippi State. You're not at Howard. You, my dear, are at Cambridge University.
Right.
And I'm thinking like, okay, well, I love your optimism. I'm wondering, like your thought pattern in this process, right? Because I'm like, it could have been a whole lot worse. I'm thinking you kind
Right.
of got out easy. Not saying you're not right, because you're right. I rock with you, Dr. Chris. I rock with you. But I'm
Right.
like, it could have been worse. Now, am I tripping? I don't know. Y'all let me know.
Unless maybe she purposely, wanted to. Because I guess, like, if this is truly the introduction with the stories of flashbacks of being younger, then maybe she is on her own spiritual journey and using like her jobs and her resources and networking people to kind of be able to like maneuver through that and kind of
Yeah.
test out some theories, or
Yeah.
you know with her belief that, I don't know, on the fence of like if she was expecting a different response or if she knew she would get that kind of response. But maybe that's playing a part into like this whole journey, maybe that it appears to be that she's on
Yeah.
with within herself. So
I hear you.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
so curious to see.
Yeah. I hear that. I hear that. No, good point. Good point. Because I mean, this could just all, like you said, all be like a reflection point, right? So she's just
Yeah,
reflecting as she go, and maybe she anticipated or not, but she's just
right.
marking it, right? So I hear you. I
True.
hear you.
Or even seeing if as time, to see if we really have progressed in certain, areas. Because I guess thinking of the
That's
era
a good
that
point.
this is in, where she's teaching and
Right.
where that's taking place. So who knows? I'm really just interested to see.
Nah,
I
I'm
don't
with
know.
you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Before I move on, did anybody else had anything to add to it?
I did. I mean, like after reading it the first time and seeing her surprise about,
Mhm.
the reaction of one of the guests at Cambridge, saying if she was, I don't know if you're sloppy or if you're mischievous, that her surprisement, or her being surprised at it, and also not so much her being surprised at it. That my view on that, I don't. It hasn't changed. She should have been surprised by the reaction. You have to expect that. But when she said that she was assaulted,
Yeah.
is that the right term?
Yeah,
That
she
it
called it
was
numerous.
assaulted.
Yeah, she called it numerous beatings. That in quotes.
Numerous beatings.
Yeah.
Okay. So initially, I thought, I was looking at it like, well, that wasn't a beating. That was just, just, a statement that we look at to be as ignorant. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
then I had to take a step back and think about it, and you know, we're always kind of like on some just let it, just let that
Mhm.
roll off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Think
Mhm.
about how many times we're told you can't let words get you or affect you.
Right.
You can't let them, do this and that. It's always some kind of,
Mhm.
some kind of well, we just need to get over and let it go kind of type of situation.
That's a good
Right.
And
point.
really, yeah, you're not. I think what she's doing is she's giving it the proper context, and when she feels that it actually does deserve. No, I'm
Right.
not going to keep on minimizing this as just words.
Right.
No, these are more than words. These are These are feelings. These are actually how you feel,
I like
and
that.
Mhm.
also how you feel impacts how folks move around the world and react
Right.
towards somebody like me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm saying? I don't think that we need to keep on minimizing
Mm.
these things as just words. No, call them what they are. So on that, I can't disagree with her if she's going to use something as being. Say it again. Say it again. What
She
is it?
said she called it numerous beatings. That's what in quote.
Numerous
Yeah.
beatings. Think
Mm-hmm.
about when you constantly, every single day, you are constantly getting criticized
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
about the same, things over and over again. The color of
Mm-hmm.
your skin, how you look, how you walk, how you talk,
Right.
how
Mm-hmm.
you're lazy. Your community is lazy. Think about it. Our ancestors here in this country who started out as slaves,
That's true.
they were called lazy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? A lazy slave. I keep
Mm-hmm.
on saying that is a crazy oxymoron.
It is.
A
Right.
lazy slave. Having that, hey, folks, didn't know that existed. But these are the connotations or these are the verbal assaults
Mm-hmm.
or verbal
Yeah.
beatings that our people have been accustomed to taking from the jump
I agree.
that unfortunately we still have to hear even today, even in the words of mischievous and sloppy.
Mm.
Right.
Mm. I'm
So
with you on
that's
that.
where I kind of look at that.
Yeah.
I hear you on that, Sheen. I hear you on that. Okay, we cooking early. We cooking early. We gonna turn it up. We gonna turn up the temperature. All right then. All right then. Anybody else? Anybody else before I move on? Cool. All right. So she goes. She reminisces about this experience, and now she goes to say that she now so we're still in the church, the fortress-like church, and she says that she made a mad dash. And again, so I'm on page 7 of my digital book. She says, I made a mad dash across the length of the altar to kiss her wooden feet and quickly look up to receive her gaze, half expecting her to shoot me an approval wink. As she does this, emergency lights illuminated, alarms go off. She hears sirens coming closer. She says there's nowhere to go. So now she's on the run. And it's funny because she's like, I had a, she says, I finally had a legitimate reason to ask myself a question I've been longing to ask. What would Jason Bourne do? Now I'm laughing because I'm like, you probably should have thought about what Jason Bourne what should have been doing before you started this. But I rock with you. I rock with you though. And so at this point in time, she's running. She goes into the like a French bar. She hides in the bathroom. I think she tries to change up her look a little bit because imagine, it's African American black woman, natural hair in France on the run. So it sounds like she gets a little hat, a jacket or something. She runs, and then after the police come in, they leave. She quickly leaves. The bartender's like, "Yo, get out of here," and she goes into this chocolate shop. She says she doesn't even eat chocolate, but it's this quaint, beautiful shop, and as she says, and I'm on page 9 now, she says, still on edge, I dropped my bag and sat perched on the chair, expecting the French police to violently burst into this beautiful and serene chocolate shop and drag me away in handcuffs any moment. And as I awaited the worst, I realized that the terror in my bones was a familiar one. As a black woman in a white male God's world, I've been a fugitive my entire life. And baby, when I heard that, I said, let's go, Dr. Chris. Let's go, baby. I'm with you. You know what? I feel like that too. I understand. You know what I mean? We all on the run, baby. We all on the run. And because to me, it's like remnants of like all my life I had to fight. Anytime any black woman
Right.
got anything like that to say, I'm with her. We rolling hard. We rolling hard. Now,
Right.
the next part did break my heart. So before I get into that, I did want to make sure, did anybody have they wanted to chime in anything or had anything to say before I move on?
I,
I'd like to say, going back to, of course, the beginning where we start talking about the white male god
Yeah.
and her pilgrimage to seek the Black Madonna so that she can kiss the wooden feet.
Yeah.
Um, and then she's on the run in France. She's a black woman. She's trying to disguise herself.
Right.
When she's the only one, she runs into a shop and she's instructed to leave. The next shop she goes into, a chocolate shop, and she's welcome to go and take refuge in a corner. I had questions from the beginning. What images were you exposed to growing up? Because I did not relate because I grew up in a not a black southern town, but as a black girl in a southern Baptist town for the most part. All I ever saw was Black Jesus.
Right.
I never really even heard of the Black Madonna until I was pretty much an adult. I won't say a full on adult because I was off in college at that point, but that's when I was exposed to other faiths and religions. We didn't even discuss religion in the household, although we were in church every Sunday.
right,
Right.
right,
First Sunday, we were in there all day as a youth. Um, but it goes to, again, her longing to find an image
Yeah.
to look like her when all I've ever known was the Black Jesus. And I think we can all reference the Good Times scene from where the painting of Ned the Wino was placed on the wall. You know?
Yeah.
And
Classic.
then to me, when she ran into the chocolate shop where she don't even like chocolate,
Right.
this is to me was okay. I'm calm here. There's peace here. She has welcomed me here, and it could have been a chance where like not a chance where a phase where the lady that sees her coming in, she sees chocolate all day. So now that's her shop. I love chocolate, and in walks this chocolate woman. Let me help her.
Ooh.
Have a seat.
yeah,
I like that. I like that because I'm with you on that. And when you were asking about like the images like we grew up with, it's funny because I think about that too. And
right,
honestly, when I think back, I just remember a lot of stained glass windows. And I'm
right,
pretty sure, yeah, I remember the old Martin Luther King fans.
yeah,
And I remember,
right,
some of those stained windows, they made it. It appeared, if my memory serves me correct, and somebody can let me know if they saw the same thing, that we did have like the white angels or white Jesus
yeah,
in those stained glass windows.
right,
And it's funny because when you were talking about the Ned the Wino, I always, for some reason, I always had this picture. Now, of course, as we were lucky, and Tori can jump in. We were lucky to have like relatives who were like, "Nah," and
right,
had depictions of Jesus and copper hair like wool. Like we had T-shirts with a rock
right,
in the fist. We had so we were able to see the dualities of this deity, right?
right,
And but I often remember, like you said, that episode where Florida had the blue-eyed, brown-haired Jesus, fighting JJ because she said this one looks like the wino, and so
right.
yeah, so when you said that,
I
it's like,
agree.
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah,
I No, I'm just saying, yeah, I agree. But I think it also opens up for those that, like you said, where you were used to seeing that, yeah, like in home, at least I was, where like a black Jesus or
mm-hmm.
the black people at the Last Supper
Right,
pictures and just knowing and like you said, having family was like, it's black because the Bible say that, with the skin of copper, the hair, skin of bronze and wool
right,
like hair. And but I do back to like she was saying with the going to the different places or churches, even sometimes black, where you would see like the white angels or even a white Jesus in some of them churches, black churches and white, just for my experience. So sometimes it did make you feel kind of like, I know this is what I'm raised in, but it's like, how can we say it's a black, but they also saying it's a white God? And just, is it okay, we saying it's black because, we want them to be black and they saying it's white. So that is kind of tough, I think, even then, growing up in black, of just kind of your understanding or even confusion behind that of like, are we just, separating, like, what really color is until you, I guess, get further in your belief and faith. And I agree with Debbie on the, like, it just still seems like the yearning, because even what stood out to me is her wanting to, you go to museums or different places, and sometimes stuff that is not going to go off or anything, like, oh, I want to touch it just to say did this, or certain things like that. At least sometimes I've been like that, but never if where like an alarm is going to go off or it's going to alert somebody or something happens, did I ever think to go that far. So to me, like Debbie said, that stood out of like her yearning to be like, man, you willing to risk just to touch. And then the part that she wanted to touch for me was kind of significant, of like the feet. And it made me think of like the different stories in the Bible with Mary Magdalene and the other lady who felt like, if I just touch, Jesus, his feet or the hem, like it would do something for me, or in that case would be healed. So I kind of thought that was interesting that she, even that particular part of the statue she wanted to touch was, important to her. So
that's a great point. That's a great point, because you're right. That does have like
like she was willing to risk. Right, knowing the alarm's gonna go off, people gonna come, but she just wanted to touch it. So.
Yeah, and then to reference Jason Bourne, like, okay,
right,
it was no one else. You just wanted to know what Jason Bourne would do at that given moment. Okay.
In France, though, not like
exactly.
Chicago, France, like
yeah.
Okay.
No. This is where the doctor lost me for a little while. Okay. Attention, everybody. You should never, ever, and in particularly black women, why do we want to live a Jason Bourne life? Don't we have enough excitement just being black women?
I'm just saying. I don't think we want that life. Because we will not have the same outcome that Jason Bourne does.
Bourne has. I'm just saying. But even then, hello. Also, I understand wanting to get in touch and have a deeper understanding, especially as a black American, to find out about who you really are based off of our history and what we have gone through. I get that. But this is not like some of our past ancestors have had to go through to get their rights, or, you weren't going for any human rights. You weren't fighting for, or protesting against anybody or whatever. So in that space, in that instance, I just don't agree with kind of subjecting yourself to losing any part of your freedom over, kissing the foot of a statue.
Right.
Something that's a religious symbol. But is it the actual, you know what I mean? Like this is just symbolism right here, you guys. Like, for real, just don't go Jason Bourne, y'all. Use a little bit more common sense here, people. Okay? Now, this is where I don't know what ancestor was speaking to you, but it was the wrong one. At some point, you have to tell cousin, I was saying, Gemini, or whoever it was that was all up in your head, hey, let's back up a little bit, friend. Let's just admire the hard work. Let's not risk our freedom and our livelihoods to kiss. I mean, come on, man. You're an accomplished doctor.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to get locked up in France?
Right.
Having your peoples read about you. You went to jail for kissing the foot of a what? Nah, fam, I ain't even got no bail money for you, dog. Come on now, could you imagine? Y'all, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real.
Right.
Like I'm not, nah, Nene. Let's keep in mind. Let's
Who
keep it real.
But let me
You
ask
let
at
you.
alone that
home,
she chose that person as her. I was just like, okay, well, maybe there's a little bit like who her personality or like what
Yeah.
type of woman she is, period, let alone a black woman. Because, yeah, to just think of that, unless she just was sticking to strictly off of the whole kind of fugitive on the run, like that's the first person she could think of, Jay's, but like,
Yeah.
maybe that's
but
what
even then,
I,
why do we have to go with the fugitive? See,
true.
we using the wrong adjectives.
Right.
You
Or
know, we using the
unless
wrong
maybe
word.
it's simply just to add a little
little
jazz to the
spice.
storytelling.
Yeah. Well, I guess my
I
question
hope.
is, as she's going through all this, if she would have
Yeah.
got arrested, who would she have called? She in France. So
See, this is my whole thing. Could you imagine? That's what I was about to get to.
who coming to
Could you imagine
France?
you're at Nah, could you imagine you at home, you watching Sonic the Hedgehog 2, enjoying your peace and quiet, and
Georgia.
then here comes somebody at the end, and then here come a phone call. Hey girl, can you look? I went a little bit outside myself. You know I be tripping sometimes. Can you can you send me some bail money to get me out of prison in France? What? What?
Man, isn't it like a different currency?
What?
Like, what would that be in USD? So, and what
Like, do they even
happened?
have a bail? What's the bail system
What is
in
the bail
France? Does
system?
anybody know this? I need for us to use a little bit, stop being so damn selfish, okay? Because what you do impacts others, all right?
Right.
Don't nobody have time to be dealing with that nonsense, okay? All right, do you see how much it costs for a pack of chicken? Hey, let's calm it down. Let's calm it down a bit. Now that part just pissed me off. So unnecessary, okay? And then you gonna bring static to the chocolate owner shop. Come on, y'all. All right,
Right.
and then I'm supposed to get deep in the wins with you because you chocolate, they chocolate, and we all chocolate. No, 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 no,
See,
no,
I'll,
no. That made no sense.
I'll say this
That made
though.
no sense.
Yo, France is not is pretty cool though because nobody ratted her out.
I
So
heard,
I'm
yeah.
like, they probably they sound pretty gangster. I mean, this was two places where she was able to hide out. Nobody said she's back here, get her, black lady. None of that happened. They were like,
Right.
man, one like you said, the chocolate shop welcomed her. They were like, come, chocolate sister, come. So I'm like, yo,
Right.
France may be what's happening. Man. So let's see. So she escapes. It sounds, but she takes us to this memory, right? Which was, and it's entitled "A Fugitive at Five," and she talks about where another experience where her mom has signed her up for vacation Bible school because again she's doing these she's going flash having these flashbacks, right? And she says that her mom signed her up for vacation Bible school, so it was her and her brother. And it was a white evangelical church. I don't think I said that right, but it was in a 20-mile radius, so this was kind of not too far away from home. Evangelical. There we go. There we go. Start for me. One of the churches. Now, this vacation Bible school was a cost-effective alternative to daycare, and her and her brother it sounds like they were having a good time. And now, put a note by this. This was in Castro Valley, California. The reason I bring that up is because what happens next. So it sounds like her and her brother they're having a good time. They're playing. She sounds like she's around 5. The brother may be a little older, but I don't think she says his age. So maybe we can assume maybe 5, maybe 6, 7. Who knows? But under 10 most likely. And she says as they're playing as kids do, the vacation Bible school teacher calls them the N word and says, at the first recess break, her brother John and I sprinted to the tetherball. They're out there playing tetherball. And she says, I immediately got lost in the competitive game. We must have missed our teacher's call to the classroom because the next thing we heard was, get in here, you N-words. They both froze as the tetherball whizzed and spiraled around the pole. She says that she was 5. She hasn't yet acquired this new vocab word, but instinctively understood that it was negative and that it referred to me. And
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. I'm about to pause. I'm in my feelings a
I,
little,
I,
so
ju-
please jump in.
I just have a huge problem with this scenario
Mm-hmm.
because it literally at 5, and again, yes, it's in California, but it's in 86.
Mm-hmm.
At 5 or 6, why do you are you not familiar with the term? What is discussed at home? Are we keeping our children so sheltered that I get it? We want to protect them,
Mm-hmm.
but they need to know what's going on in the world and how others think about us. And this also makes me think, I don't know why my mind automatically goes there, but every single time it goes there. Why, as Black people, when we make a little money and we become successful, we remove our families, thinking we're doing better for them,
Mm-hmm.
and injecting them into white society, thinking that they're going to be okay
I
when every single time they're going to be exposed and have issues because they're still Black.
I honestly think so. To piggyback off of that, Debbie, I honestly think that in this mom situation, and y'all can let me know. So first, it seemed like it was this cost-effective daycare, right? And I don't know if y'all been. I mean, well, I know some of y'all. Most of y'all been to Vacation Bible School. I didn't like it. It was too hot. I didn't hardly know anybody. It was too many kids. It was cheap punch, terrible cookies. I didn't really like it. So, but I bring that up to say, like, in this mom's mind, and so to piggyback off of what you said, right? In this mom's mind, I honestly believe, and this is what's so interesting about your point. I honestly believe that she thought she was taking her kids to a safe place.
Right.
And that's what breaks my heart. Because
Yeah.
just like you said, we'll take them out of this environment, we put them in this environment. And in this mom's case, she did it, it sounds like because it was like daycare. But you're right. When a lot of times when we get money, we're
Yeah.
thinking we're putting them in this safe place. Why do we think these places are safe? Like, I mean, I guess that's my question. Why do we
That
think
is the
that?
True.
question. Why do we think that's a safe place,
Right.
even if we're using it as daycare?
Right.
Right.
And these are our
Right.
babies. Like this baby was
Right.
5. Now I don't expect her to know the world, but she doesn't. And maybe I'm off on something else because it's like I don't even think that she has to at this point. But I know the world. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
know that I'm taking her to this Bible study, vacation Bible school at this whiter church.
Mm-hmm.
So no, so that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. But I
Yeah.
will ask this question back, and you let me know because, like, you right. Like once you see some, melanated people of color, they get money, they do move to these spaces. Do you think that they're trading off the potential racism for the assumed safety? Do you think that they're trading one thing for the networking, the space, the atmosphere? Do you think they're trading it off? Like, for example, if I said, I want my kid to go to this school, this college, etc., I know
Mhm.
she may get called an N-word. I know this may happen, but it's going to open her up to networking. She's going to open her up to more education. Do you think that parents know they're just trading it off one for the other?
I don't know
I
because I
have no idea. Yeah, that's a good question
right.
because not, and it is the question, and it's for a long time that has
Mm,
been the question.
mm.
Right. I
I don't
agree.
think we'll ever have the answer to that.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, because I definitely understood what you were saying, Debbie, ending, because I felt like I still don't have maybe my answer on even thinking back where times where not just necessarily like her situation were being called in word, but the fact of going to those white vacation Bible schools and
Mm-hmm.
realizing now, like, okay, I guess my mom was figuring out a way, but I still always thought, like, maybe she knew somebody there at the church, knew them from
Yeah.
this, because my mom was very a networking person, regardless of what she did. So I used to think that in my mind of like, okay, this is why she sent us, but still going through the experiences of, a lot of the kids saying, or they looked at us kind
Mm-hmm.
of like, with these black kids, like they knew we were there for that reason. Like,
Yeah.
they expected this time of year, around this time, black
Mm-hmm.
parents will send their kids here that we'll never see them again. This is the only time we see them
Mm-hmm.
year. And like finally getting of an age of like being able to recognize that and feel that and be like, why is my mama sending us, here to deal with this? And feeling it made me feel shame coming there sometimes of like, this isn't fun no more, even though they had all the gym, the fun things to do. It took the fun out of it with that. And so you right. Like, I feel like I still never got my answer. Even if it was a daycare, it made you think of like, it was plenty black churches having vacation Bible school the same
Yeah.
time or somewhere. So like, why did we come here? Like, what made you think, especially realizing like, okay, you didn't know anybody. This wasn't a friend from here or there. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
why did you pick these? So you're right. That is the question. So I don't even think I got my answer at 43. So yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
man, y'all killing it today. Like y'all, because now I'm pondering, right? Because I remember that
Right.
too. Like
No, no.
what?
The reason why they do it, I also feel like is because when you look at the not the atmosphere, but just look at probably how that church looked or how that building looked compared
Mm-hmm.
to maybe a church in their own neighborhood.
Mm,
They're looking
Yeah.
at the outside. They're looking at, oh, this looks better than ours. This is it. But
Mm-hmm.
then they're not looking at the individuals that inhabit that building, that inhabit
Right.
this place. I can always relate this going back to sports. Easy. When you look at
Mm-hmm.
our, even today, where do all the black athletes go?
Right.
Best
PWIs.
athletes go. But
PWIs.
then when you look, yeah, yeah, PWIs, why? It
Yeah.
looks better. They have all this, all that. Not
Mm-hmm.
even realizing that you are bringing in a lot of this money that helps to
Right.
make these
Exactly.
institutions look all
Right.
spotless and nice. But then when you look at the individuals who actually inhabit these
Mhm.
areas, when you look at these athletes while they're there, we read the stories of black students that go to these universities having to deal with all the passive aggressiveness, having to deal with the racism, having to deal with a whole
Going
host
from
of things. And this
Christian.
is stuff that
Yeah.
our ancestors went through and our ancestors went through since for how long since we've been able to claim freedom, and I'm doing the quotations in
Understood.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like with all this abuse and all these other things that we have heard about. I mean, when you think about uh, um my guy that went to Ole Miss,
Oh, okay.
uh, the first black student,
Mm-hmm.
that enrolled there,
Yeah.
was
Mm.
James Meredith, right? So when he enrolled there in what 1961, 1962, I, I can't speak to, it was a different, thing where maybe some of our ancestors may have thought, well, if we ingratiate ourselves with them a little bit more, maybe we'll get, maybe then they'll see that we're not this, we're not that, or what have
Mm-hmm.
you. But why?
Yeah. It,
Why in the world would you want to place yourself, you know what I mean, in basically in harm's way? And he is not the only story of
he's
that.
not.
Right.
There are
Not very
so,
easily.
the whole
Many.
busing system,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that we're going to get a better, something that's better than what we are receiving in our whole neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thought. They are better. So the bottom line is that you just think that it's better versus you versus looking at a way to improve
Mm.
upon your own
Mm-hmm.
upon your own foundations and your own atmospheres, building that up versus just running away and thinking, oh, well, this is better.
Mm, mm,
And kind of like you all were alluding to, just maybe ignoring, all the racism or acting surprised when you are faced with it. Acting surprised when you are faced with these trials and tribulations. Or acting surprised, if we can equate it back to sports today. Hey, I went to this university. I was a star player here.
mm-hmm.
And you mean to tell me you won't even hire me as a defensive lineman coach? Like, hey, what is this? I can't get a defensive coordinator because I can't get an interview.
Mm-mm.
My 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 jersey is retired here.
Mm-hmm.
My number is retired here,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't be a coach here.
Nope.
Right.
Well, now let me go on ahead and we have these HBCUs that I would never consider going to
Good.
as a student, as a player.
All right now.
But as a coach,
Oh.
well, I guess I can go here and, you know, come to this less than foundation of the institution that is completely beneath me.
Easy now,
Um,
cause you're hot, Sheen. You're hot. You're hot.
I guess
You
I
about
can
to?
grace you. I guess I can grace you peons with
Mhm.
my presence here, and make it better now that I'm here. Now now you all are about something.
Mm.
Finally,
Right.
in the history of your worthless institutions,
Oh.
now you are compared to the institution that I went to. Now, keep in mind, when I leave from here, you all will go back to being the worthless, dirty little peons that always pegged you out to be. But while I am here, hey, we're in this together.
Mm.
They treat me how I treat, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all,
Boy, that
some
feels.
of these folks just have that mindset of, and we
Woo.
just have to realize that.
That
I
feels
don't love
very familiar.
I
I just
do
want to say
not,
that.
yeah, I do not love my community and the people that are in here. I do not rock with y'all like that. Now, if you're part of my family, I guess I can, I say some of y'all can come along or whatever. But for the most part, no, 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 no. As a matter of fact, I lock my doors very quickly when I see one of you jokers walk by.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. 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 Because we didn't. We up here.
Do I need to get into it a
We
little
don't.
bit more? Okay.
We don't.
All right.
We'll keep. We'll move because
Moving right along.
because we about to. We
Is
about.
it is the is the truth hitting a little bit too hard? Okay, or do I just need to say in layman's terms? Some of these ones just don't. Hey, man, they don't mess with the darkies, and I'll leave it at that, child. I know what I am. Shoot.
We're just gonna take the
All
top
right.
a little bit, Shane. Let
I'm
the steam
telling
off a
you.
little bit. Just a
I'll tell you. Let's let's not be coy, okay? Let's not be coy about it. You
right.
don't want your child being in an all black environment because you think downwards of black people.
Right.
You think downwards of your own community. You think
Right.
down of the people that live there. You don't see any value of anything coming from your own freaking communities.
Mm.
Some that you came out of, some that your ancestors came out of. And rather, and not even that, you never saw the value in it. And you never will.
Mm.
And the only time that you will be a part of it is if it can be a stepping stone for you and yours
Mm.
to move on and go back into the coveted white communities that you want to be so a part of.
Mm. 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 Dang. Well,
Thanks.
okay. I mean, all right. So that wraps up chapter one. No, I'm kidding.
That's it, Dr. Chris. Let's wrap this up real quick, okay? I'm not tiptoeing through the tulips no more, okay? I got my Tim's on and I'm stomping
You
through
stomping.
the
We
weeds.
got a one. Yeah, we. Yeah, you stomped. You stomped on a few backs on that
Right.
one.
It's the weeds of bullshit. I will not curse. I will not use any kind of inflammatory language, but it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
That's
And
that's
That's fair.
unfortunate.
and we need to stop acting like that these jokers do not exist.
Yeah.
They keep telling us.
Yeah.
They letting us know, okay, every single time with different kind of messages and actions.
Yeah.
All to let us know, boy, I do not rock with y'all.
Yeah.
No,
Unfortunately.
no, no.
Unfortunately. Man, that hurts my heart a little bit because it rains truth.
True.
Unfortunately. Oh.
True.
Well, with that being said, we move on to is there any hope? So which is
I'm so sorry.
That
I am
is
so
yeah.
so
hey, hey,
Okay.
I'm sorry I had to be so ugly. I'm sorry to
Okay.
bring down the
That's
mood over
fine.
here.
that is too
So
funny.
I'm so
tell me
sorry.
because that's
I'm so sorry.
The truth will set you free, and you spoke nothing but the truth. Okay? I'm
so
Hey,
right there with
hey,
you.
so
Because it
hey,
still
me.
goes back to, and Dr. Chris, as as our lady on the panel says, we rock with you.
right.
Right.
But
Right.
you're putting yourself in some positions that you can't get out. And clearly, this did not come from you as an adult. It's
Mm-hmm.
been stemmed into you from youth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your parents put you in these situations, and you still put yourself through it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh. Oh.
Which is sad. You know what I'm saying? Constantly
Yes.
think about how long since a child you've been having to explain your blackness to white folks.
Mm.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exhausting.
Oh.
Right.
She's
Oh my
explained it
God.
so much so that her faith has caused her to go to another country
Hmm.
Right.
to seek
Okay.
out the Black
Yeah.
Madonna.
Right.
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 So this is how this whole thing begun. I mean,
Right.
Exactly.
right.
Right. Yeah.
Ladies, listen, y'all doing y'all big one tonight, baby. I mean, we on chapter one, like we easy. Like you ain't
Okay.
got to give it all up. You know, I'm just saying, like you giving us all of it. You know, like we on page 11.
Okay. That
Oh
was
man, that's terrible, man. You gotta, for real, you gotta stop putting your kids
Yeah,
in that kind of situation.
And that's
I'm
where it
sorry.
starts.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
where it starts at home.
yeah,
We gotta stop it.
yeah.
Thanks.
So I wasn't being sarcastic. That actually was the next question. Like, is there any hope? Like, that really was. And she moves on to talk about the day after the presidential election. At this point in time, it's, well, 2016. She was talking about, she visited New Orleans, and she encountered a white sculptor who heard that she taught at this Duke Divinity School and busted out into tears. And this is where she moves to talk about how, this woman was saying, is there any hope and where is God in the midst of this, right? I'm sure a lot of people probably could relate around that time, but she bridges that with the idea of God. Before she gets into that, she talks about just how ideas are deceptively powerful, right? And she talks about the saying that we use, time flies, right? She says, okay, well, how time flies, how it motivates our life, how it shapes our emotions and behaviors, just this simple saying. And she ends it or ties it together by saying, if the idea, and I'm on page 13 here, if the idea that time flies has the power to shape my emotions, thoughts, and behaviors, then what about the idea of God? So now she breaks off into the prevalence of white male images of God, how it's easily led us to conclude that God is definitively and exclusively white and male based on, life in general, just social fabric, social things that we've seen every day. But then she gets to, and I'm on page 14 on my digital book, she says, we will also discover that even though this white male God is the patron of mediocre white men, fueling their unmerited audacity to dominate this world, he infects all of us. She didn't say he, I don't know, what's the word? He tells this to all of us. He said infects like a virus,
Right.
infects like locusts to to a crop. So I'm like, Dr. Chris, what we doing? Like, what are we doing? And then the next, I guess, subchapter is hope is here. So now she's talking about how in the past she's been indoctrinated into America's society, constrictive worship of the white male god. And she says, my spiritual imagination didn't know how to venture beyond the Protestant white male God that colonized and subdued America's spiritual imagination. Again, we're tying everything back to why she felt this desperate urge to do all of this in the first place. Why she's back. She's in Marillac. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Marillac, France, stepping over velvet ropes, kissing the feet of this Black
Of this
Madonna. Right. So now all of this is tying together. How, she goes to, in the early 2017, I mustered all of the desperate courage I could find and took one single trebling step away from all that I had known and all that I have been taught to act. And with this step, I began anxiously searching for the images of what I called the sacred black feminine, a divine being who stands with and for black women because she herself is a black woman. She talks about how she didn't have to search far because just beyond my origins from the mystical depths of rogue Catholicism rose the Black Madonna, a black female image of the divine who is often claimed by Catholicism but draws seekers of all religions and spiritualities. She says, I call her, well, let's see, within seconds of viewing photos of the Black Madonna, my gut shifted from terror to hope. She says, I call her the sacred black feminine. She is the God who is with and for black women because she is a black woman. So I'm like, let's go, Dr. Chris. What are we doing? Let's go. She says that she is the God who definitively declares that black women who exist below black men and white men at the bottom of the white male God's social pecking order not only mattered but are sacred. She goes to, and before I go to the next part where she gets more into this Black Madonna, did anybody have anything to say before I move into it? No? Okay, cool. She says, in my research, I learned that there are over 450 Black Madonnas around the world, most of whom are over 1,000 years old, with names as illustrious as Our Lady of Good Death, Slave Mama, and Dear Dark One. Yeah, that's unsettling. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go back to that one later. That yeah, that I don't think I like any of those. Any of those names. Anyway, she goes to, and then she talks about she who is forged in the fire. She talks about another theologian by Clarissa who tells the story of her grandmother, a socially economical oppressed rural immigrant woman of color who maintained several fires in order to cook her food, how she was a devout Catholic and a lover of Black Madonna. She said that this grandmother would ritually shift through the ashes of the fires each night looking for a remnant of burnt wood that resembled the feminine form. She said even she has stories of this grandmother who, ever so often, the white male parish priest would drop by her house and derogate this grandmother's glowing collection of the burnt Black Madonnas. And she writes that he said she was having a mere superstition and wanted her to realize the Virgin was actually golden hair with ringlets, porcelain skin, and rich colored silk clothing. This grandma used to say that this was the point about her Black Madonnas taken from the fire, and about us too. This, and again, I'm on page 17, sorry about that. I'll start over. The old Caterin used to say that this was the point about her black Madonnas taken from the fire, and about us too. That the little dark blessed mother was burned, but she was not consumed. She's still here, and we're still here. We still hold our holy shapes, no matter what fire we have passed through. Black Madonna says, behold my dark face, my burnt body, and grow, grow, flourish, flourish. Let nothing hold you back. Black Madonna, forged in the fire, leads the way. And then she moves on to say, again, we're still on page 17, but my soul longed for more than the book knowledge. I needed to come face to face with the sacred black feminine. So, in the end, she ties this and wraps all this together by saying, I knew, in this, I'm on page 18, I knew that in order to truly heal, I would need to bravely examine my burns. Okay, Dr. Chris. Let me read that part again. I knew that in order to heal, I would need to bravely examine my burns. I would need to take a deep dive into my past to examine the ways I have been consumed by the white male God's fire. I would need to uncover the painful truth about how the white male God terrorizes us all. And that wraps up that first chapter. I'm rocking with Dr. Chris. I want to see what we about what had happened. I want to see what's about to go on. Um, anything you ladies want to add?
I think just kind of like reading, just harking back off of kind of like the story that she was telling about, being called, having to go to the white church, being called, you know, a nigger by those individuals, going to Cambridge and everything. It's just going back to that school story again. It's sad that it's sad that unfortunately she has to go through.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like she feels it's so much that she has gone through leading up to this point that has led her down this path of self discovery that she has to go back and rethink about and rehash out all this pain because she was forced into, sounds for it sounds like she was pushed into being into nothing but white spaces growing up her whole life. Now, as an adult, I do agree, you know, that you now have more control over your life and you can choose where you can put yourself into to
Right.
not have to go through this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were indoctrined at a young age and this is kind of like routine to you, who am I to say that it's easy to break routine, habit, anything like that, or things that you are accustomed to, and more importantly, how you're able to break all of those things. How are you able to break that routine? As how are you able to break, doing what feels natural to you? It's
yeah.
just
So no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I'm sorry. Please finish.
nah. It's just, ultimately, I'm just seeing like due to being in white spaces as a child, you're now out here breaking the law,
Sorry.
traveling halfway around the world, you picked a white man to kind of live, as your, Jason Bourne is Jason Bourne. You know what I'm saying? Like all this, all due to, being put into these unhealthy spaces, thinking that in the end they are better. When that could have been probably the worst possible space for you to be in.
Mm.
Right.
You know, when you said that, the first thing that I thought about was is that it's got to be really hard, right? You're in these spaces, and the craziest thing is you don't know that you're in behind enemy lines. and I hate to say enemy lines, but for lack of a better way of saying this, especially with the experience she encountered, you don't know that you're not, you have a feeling that you're not supposed to be here, but everyone's saying that you should be here. And that's got to be rough. Like, so you grow up and you're having to find this out. Like, that's the journey. And that's a lot. Because first you got to know if this is even right or not. You know what I mean? I think that's what we all kind of go through as adults. Like, we look back and we're like, was that even right? Like, is this the right path? And before you can even know what path you're about to go on, was the path I've already walked, was that right? Was that comfortable? Was that safe? You know?
Right.
So I applaud her, because there's some people that are still, I guess, and I hate to say the sunken place, but for lack
Right.
of a better way of saying it, they're still on that same path. You know what I mean? They're still
Right.
walking that walk. They still thought this is the way it is. They still thought this was, they're not venturing out. They're not discovering. They're not, you know, looking. They're not trying. They're thinking this is what it is. I'm right. I've done it all. I've done it this way all my life. My mama did it this way. My daddy did it this way. My grandmama, this is what it is. And so I got to give it up to her. You know what I mean? She's trying something different. She's trying to see representation in herself, and I'll rock with it. I'll rock with her on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing what's to come next because, again, I really feel like this started as a child and she's only seeking what, not even seeking that, she's looking for the image of her because she's been exposed to only the white male God
Right.
her entire life. And then even after going through and becoming a doctor, um, and teaching in prestigious white universities, it's sort of kind of like I made it. But once you're there and you're lecturing and you have speaking engagements and you're still looked down upon and frowned upon for what you have accomplished and challenging your every thought.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
So I look forward to what's to come.
Right.
That's what's
Same
up.
here.
Well, that's what's up.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm excited.
yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh, my fault. I'm just excited to find out more if we find out more about our parents,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
kind of tie that into the background because
Right.
Yeah.
with that whole with that whole read about what happened at church,
Yeah.
I would like to see, well, where were your parents at? Let's do
Yeah.
a
What did
follow
your
up. I
parents
mean, what was the cops episode that they were on when they got arrested for assault? We need to find out.
Right, like I always wondered that. Like when I read that the first time, and I had to keep going backwards because I know that was like a painful memory. But like, did she ever tell her mom that happened? Did her mom find that out through the book? Like what was that like? If a parent, like if I had a child and somebody and I don't care if it was 20 years later, I may have to ride them to the church. That's all I gotta say. I ain't gonna say what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna say that I may have to just at least drive by, just take a look at it. I'm at least say that. You know what I mean? So to be a
Right.
fly on the wall when she had this discussion with her mom, I wonder how that went. So no, I'm with you on that.
Right.
Mhm.
Because of how early on she mentioned that and
Yeah.
how the detail that she included there without including details there, I'm I would believe, I'm led to believe that this discussion was never had with the parents.
Mm, really?
And this too, that has shaped and paved the way
Mm,
for her seeking because
mm,
this happened at a church.
mm. Aw, Dr. Chris.
So, so
So
yeah,
now
that
we
would be
have
interesting.
potentially so now we potentially have another story of how the church
Mm,
now has a negative impact on a
Right.
child.
Mm-hmm.
well,
And notice how I said the church,
yeah, I heard you.
Mm-hmm.
not the black church as we love to expound and pound on them. No, the church.
That's
Want
a
to
whole other.
clarify that.
That's a entirely different conversation. Not different, but
Yeah,
another conversation.
I'm not ego guy. I just wanted to clarify. I said the church.
Hmm.
All right.
All right. Well, maybe.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see like
It is.
what happens next along this journey.
Yeah. Well, ladies, again, I appreciate you because y'all you showed up and you showed out. So I appreciate you. Anybody have who may tune in, and we're going to go next week and start with chapter 2. And everybody, you guys have a good night. Appreciate y'all.
You
All
too.
right, bye.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.